noticed today. I said I was gonna probably come early. Had to take some phone calls. Weather's been kind of bad. Depends on where you are. I had some things going on, but I thought I'd come on through, see if anybody was up and about. And I should be back at my normal time tomorrow. There's definitely been some weather situations though, so but anyway, coming out here tonight. I just got through doing some videos today. They're gonna load. Um I addressed the whole Scottie Pippen, Luke Longley, Horace Grant thing. Um I have to laugh at that because that's hilarious that they're going on this anti Michael Jordan tour. I hadn't really gotten into it until I had a chance to really digest it because even though something comes out, you need to want to see how you're going to approach it. So I wanted to approach it from the standpoint um, that, okay, what are you guys trying to accomplish with this? And what do you hope to accomplish with this? And, you know, so I sat around and I felt like I had to repeat myself when I said this because I was talking about Scottie Pippen didn't um get when he didn't win in Portland back in 2000. Why is he still talking about something that I would give him a pass? So like I was playing devil's advocate, I said, okay, maybe your thing with Jordan, you was the cold, and Jerry Reinsdorf talking about, oh yeah, you the cold 1 and 1A. I said, okay, I'm not buying it, but I said like I play along with it. But now you didn't get it done in 2000. That's to me, that's Scottie Pippen's breakoff point. He should have been able to get it done in 2000. He should have been able to figure out how to beat Shaq and the Lakers before Kobe blew up to beat Phil. You win that, then you beat the Pacers with Reggie Miller and Larry Bird. People look at you in a whole different light. But and that to me is what separates Scottie Pippen's argument. He has no case, you know. So I have a problem with him going on about this. Horace Grant won with Shaquille O'Neal, went to Orlando, then he went to Lakers and won. What is he talking about? He never was a top flight for his position. He was good, but when was he ever top flight? And why is he mad with Jordan exactly? And then Luke Longley is a never was. I always have these segments where we talk about scrubs, bums, and there's the never was. Well, Luke Longley's the never was. He was very fortunate to be where he was. But was he somebody that was memorable? No. He wasn't a player that I sat around and thought, oh, Luke Longley was going to be like the coming, be battling Rick Smits. He was a tier below Patrick Ewing, or he was no. What's up? What's up? How you doing? I got time to chop it up. How you doing? How you doing? I'm just addressing that whole thing with the Bulls and this stupid tour that I'm hearing about. So we'll be back to regular timing tomorrow. I just got in a little bit late. I had to take some family calls tonight, but I will be early tomorrow night for sure. But I have a problem with that these guys are actually gonna anti Jordan and what is they about? What is the purpose of that? Um it makes no sense to me why uh Michael Jordan was big business for them, you know. And it ain't like I said, Scotty, if you win in 2000, you can come back. Not even that. He's lucky for Michael Jordan because he actually hoodwinked Phoenix to give him a crazy contract. Because when Jordan left the Bull, when he retired, 98, Longley got a crazy deal with Phoenix. Nobody in their right mind bought Luke Longley as a top tier, top flight free agent. But having been associated with Jordan, he got a crazy deal he would not have gotten under Rick circumstances, Phil Jackson as his coach. So I'm thinking you really are on something here. So Jordan was great for their bank accounts. Jordan was great for their success. Yes, I'll tell it like this. Yes, Jordan was jive, stuck up the butt, mean, petty, spiteful, arrogant, smug, cold. But guess what? That's how a lot of them get over. It's that coldness in the way he was that got him. He was, and he got hoisted off when Orlando beat Chicago. Then he ends up going to LA and winning the ring with Shaq. So what are you crying about? You were never a top flight player, Horace Grant. You were good in spurts. No one debates your place as an all-time great. Not even close, you know. So I don't know where he, what he think he's trying to prove. And this is so petty. But I got a message for Scottie Pippen. You can't hate Michael Jordan and hate Isaiah Thomas. So who do you hate more? Because you can't hate them both. So I laugh when I hear about this. Well, that was his fault. Not because Kukoc got overpaid. I understand that. I understand why Pippen and Jordan hated on that, but he let him hit that game when he shot against the Knicks. I remember that thing like yesterday. He was up there pouting and crying like a little girl, and Kukoc went in and hit the game when he shot. So that's on him. That's on him. So I don't really, I don't really I really don't understand what he's trying to do. Because he's really pathetic. You know. They all grateful for Michael Jordan. And the other thing too about Scottie Pippen, ain't you the one that when the rumor with Jordan was coming back, you had the Jordan shoes on and you pointing to the shoes and you got your foot up? I'm like, what are you doing? Oh yeah. I take that back. The Scottie Pippen shoes sold out the stores. My bad. I'm my fault. Those Scottie Pippen kicks, yeah, they just sold out of all the stores. Yeah, yeah, the Scotties. Yeah, beam me up, Scotty. Will Purdue got a TV broadcasting career because of Michael Jordan. Well, when you play with greatness, you're going to have to deal with certain attitudes. I'm not saying, and Jordan was no different than any other greats. They all were hard on you. They're not likable. They mean. Tell me something I didn't know. Tell me something I didn't know. Tell me somebody who was great that wasn't cold like the North Pole. Didn't treat you like you was trash. Please tell me. But the funny thing is, I'm not seeing no Larry Bird, surviving Magic, surviving Kareem, surviving Shaq, surviving Kobe, except from Smush Parker. But that's not going to gain no clicks and that's not going to get no views. He did. Because Luke Longley and Tony Kukoc is a great example of that. And they got paid hardy. They got paid really good. And Will Purdue and shoot. And what's his butt? I can't think. Uh Randy Brown. They're gonna hear Randy Brown say no stuff. Bill Wennington, thank you. You know. You're never gonna hear Phil Jackson say nothing stupid. So, you know. I don't care what where you come down on Jordan. He might not be your all time greatest. He might wherever you come down. Yeah, he was arrogant and smug and everything else you want to call, but he was a winner. And you knew what you were getting. And they're basically trying to tell you that Michael Jordan was going to basically be like Vince Carter if Scotty hadn't arrived. I just think that in Michael Jordan's case, he didn't have the right coach. I don't care how talented and great your talents are. You can't beat the Celtics by yourself. He had to have the pieces in place. He had to have better components. You have to have teammates. No one does it alone. But to sit up there and tell me that he wasn't great, that, he had a drive about him. And those guys fed off of him. I mean, that game 6 against Utah, that last game, they won 87-86. They beat Utah. Jordan scored 45 points. Come on now. Come on now. Scotty scored 10, and Scotty was on a bum leg back. He was not a guy that was, well, he had moments, but he also came up short. So I don't like how he be acting all kind of like, he's acting ungrateful. To me, that's what he's doing. And I don't like it. And I'm not even the biggest Jordan fan, okay? Let's just keep it 100. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you some cuckoo for Cocoa Puff story that, you know, when you play with a great player, you're going to get all that because they're very petty and everything is on him because he's running the ship, running the ship. Yeah, Hodges had a legit argument. I was there back then. And Hodges was a brother who wore dashiki, came to the White House and asked Bush questions. They ran him out. Jordan was a politician. I saw Two Royals video about not being black enough. The thing that turned people off of Jordan was because he didn't speak out on stuff. And I wrote a response in his video about black players that I felt that moved people more soulful. Jordan was respected for his talent, but like Magic, there wasn't like this. Oh, it was because of his skill set. It wasn't like there was romanticism because of him being so deep. Because just like Magic, it wasn't like that. You know, like Dr. J felt dignified. Like Dr. J made you feel class. I ain't felt that. There ain't. We that's a whole different discussion, to be honest with you. But I never felt that way about Jordan. I thought he was, he was charismatic and he was arrogant and smug. And I'm not saying he didn't donate and do things and everything, anybody ain't privy to it. However, I just felt sounded like a coldness, like it was a put on in some ways. And there were certain things about him that just kind of felt, I don't know, he was playing the game, like he told Clyde Drexler. And I know Magic did it too, you know. Whereas when I saw somebody like Adrian Dantley, I knew it's kind of complicated because his aloofness on certain things. I'll say this: he had to know that people were getting killed over his shoes, and he never spoke out. He had to have known of uh certain social things, and he didn't speak out. He was a brand, and it felt like uh the Jewish cat that was with Nike, who was his manager, was running things. That felt that way. It felt like he was a Barton corporate for David Stern. It felt that way. That's how it felt. Now, he turned quite a few people off with that. I hear Willie D was talking about it. He said that, forgot him. People loved him as a player, but they didn't really care for him. And you did hear about what he said to Chameleonaire. He says, I don't take no pictures with no N-word rappers. That's what Chameleonaire said. Well, Zeke would say that because the thing about it is Zeke was a brother that had hood vibe about him. That's why them white folks never gave Zeke no endorsements. He did have like little tiny token, but he never got marketed for his success. I mean, who do you know that's won chips and been successful and at that spot? The truth of the matter is they gave Iverson more love than they did Isaiah Thomas, if you want to be technical. And Isaiah supposedly scared him. I mean, Iverson's supposed to be more scary than Zeke, but really, think about it. He got a lifetime deal with Reebok. Yeah, yeah. That was a thing I heard about Jordan and Chameleonaire. And I've heard him being arrogant and funny time with black folk. So he it's kind of it does border on. So what people got to understand: great athlete, great talent, but he can be cold, and you know that's a fact. That's a fact. Not till he got older. When he was playing, he didn't. Because if he was kind of as half-hearted as he's been the last 10, 15 years, he may have gotten some love. No, but not when he played though. No. Because I remember I watched Around the Horn, and I remember Woody Page had a segment, and he said I'd never give him an opportunity because they remembered how he was. Not when he played, and not when he hit Kurt Benson. You ever seen that video where he hit Kurt Benson? He hit Kurt Benson, Kent Benson. I mean, knocked him out. Kent Benson got knocked out. Got that Kareem two-piece special. Yeah, if you've never seen that video, he gave him that two-piece. Kareem was yeah, he was seen as militant and nonconformist, and also, you know, and he couldn't stand Magic at first. That doesn't get talked about near enough. He couldn't stand Magic because he thought Magic was goofball, clownish, and buffoonish. Because Magic was like ha 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 and loud and brash and couldn't wait to grin. He didn't. He wasn't feeling him. Yeah, and Skip talked about how he stood him up in '83. Well, yeah, because them white boys back then said all kinds of stuff. Because you gotta remember something. Until Skip had to sit down with Shannon Sharp, he never dealt with someone black up close. Even though he talked about he got raised by a black woman and he been around all these black athletes, wasn't until they had to have one-on-one discussions. That's why Tony Kornhauser with Partner in Russian said the same thing about Michael Wilbon. I always hear the same thing by these so-called expert white journalists in sports who've been around 30, 60 years, and until they get a black cohort, then all of a sudden they get enlightened. It's like, oh, I didn't know. Oh, oh, I didn't know. I hear it all the time. All the time. It never fails. It's like they've never, ever, uh, it's kind of like the Taylor Swift part. Never, ever, 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 that's the only time I'm gonna quote her, so you better take note. But it's they never ever understood the black experience, but they didn't made a ton of money and said some of the most the basic thing. Like Skip Bayless and Cornhouse and them never diss Jimmy the Greek for what he said about black athletes in '88. No one ever pulled coats and collars. Just saying. But they know. They know how these owners are because they saw white owners, white managers. Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's not the only exception, but he's one that comes to mind. He's not, but he's one that comes to mind because he actually, really got in the trenches. There are others. I just can't, think about them. But I don't really care for them to, like, I'm gonna throw one at you that got me laughing. Let's see if you heard about it. It was Chris Sims, that no talented, who's his YouTube reel is probably about a minute long because you barely remember he was associated with Tampa Bay and he got hooked up on NBC. And this turkey came out and said that Jalen Hurts is the most overrated player in NFL. And I'm like, who is Chris Sims? So I might do a video about that tomorrow because I was like, this Buster, this turkey, this is Buster 101. So I gotta do that one. He ain't a scrub. That's a never was. Like I never was. I'm talking about where like he put his jersey on and then that thing was taken off. Talking about Jalen Hurts is the most overrated player in the NFL. I'm like, who is you? What did you do? If it wasn't for your daddy's last name, I don't even know if they let him in the stands to be the beer man, let alone an analyst. Who is he? But see, he got white privilege. And that's the sad part. He's jive too. I'm like, this is not even funny. So I heard that yesterday. So that came through my file. So I might do a video about that. I might have to touch up on that. I'm have to touch him up on that. But I can usually tell when a white dude's been versed in certain things. Now I will give you one that's slick. But he's knowledgeable, but he's slick. And then you have to catch the fine line. That's Bob Ryan. He knowledgeable, but he's slick with his. So I'll be watching him. But I don't have a lot of, unless of course I hear them really go somewhere with something. I don't have generally a lot of, okay, I don't have a what I call a general appreciation because to me a lot of them are talking in codes. So yeah. In the kitchen. So I think they talking in codes though. So that's how I feel. Yeah, and see the thing about it is that Ryan was actually knowledgeable cat. Knowledgeable. But he got that Boston thing in him, and he ain't gonna never come out and tell you how they really felt about Bill Russell and all that other stuff. So I don't really, and Will Kane was if Dennis Miller wasn't a comedian, he'd be Will Kane. And Will Kane is pretty plain, so I'm not really feeling it. Yeah. So that's kind of how I look at it. But as an analyst, yes, not as a coach. He had his chance with the Jets and he came to Buffalo and he was mediocre. But as an analyst, he be on point. He's using what I call when I always tell you about how black folks inspire. He's using the Charles Barkley stick because that's what he's good at. He's funny. He gives you good jokes and perspectives. Yeah, he is, but on the field he ain't do much. Not after the Jets, because after the butt fumble he was irrelevant. But he had a good run. He spent off time talking about he's gonna get Belichick's rings, and well, right now I'm like, look, man, just do your job. You know. So, but he is part of white privilege. His brother got the be defensive coordinator for half the teams, and their daddy, was great with Chicago. That's how they got hooked up. That's white privilege right there. They got hooked up. Mixed results. So that's how I feel. He good. He good. He good. I mean, he's a good feeling. I can't say he does good enough for what he do. You know, he's good for what he do. I mean, he does have credibility, and there's not a lot of heavy expectations. So he's good for what he do. You heard about Richard Sherman DUI? That's the latest thing I heard out of Seattle. So I hope he's okay. But that's the last thing I heard about him. Sherm got a DUI. Haven't been feeling right about Sherm in a minute though. Some been off. Couldn't put my finger on it. Yeah, well, he had that altercation a couple years ago in Seattle where he was almost not breaking it in, but with some mess, and they let him off the hook. There's something not right with him. Something's off. I felt it. I don't really care for him on Undisputed either. I just think that him and Keyshawn, he has some points, but it's too samey to me. It's too samey, and I think that's what's hurting. Skip messed up bad. That's an understatement. So it's too late now though. And Shannon back. No, because he needs the money. And remember, a lot of these cats got a price and they got lifestyle. All that tough talk you get, hey, look, you know, they like lifestyle. He's a LA kid too, and he like lifestyle, and he wants to be in the mix. The only one that kind of pulls it off without looking like they shuffling is Keyshawn, because Keyshawn did talk loud. They both talk loud, but Keyshawn always made it seem like he was going to. This ain't surprising. Some people can get away with it, some can't. Yeah, he real, even though didn't think he was a great receiver, but he's real. It's kind of like when I look at Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. Pierce is real. Garnett be acting. But they all act, but it's just that how it all plays out. So different. Look, I gotta go make me a quick bite. I'm gonna be back in a half hour. So come back. 30 minutes from now, I will be back. I promise. I'll catch you in 30. Peace. Best. I gotta go eat. I'm out.